many of you did your blink, breathe, relax breaks this week. Els in Belgium, lovely to see you. Looking forward to hearing how you got on this week. Els, do you also have the nice weather over there that John has in Greece? He has 97 Fahrenheit. So I'm assuming and hoping that that's making its way all the way across the land. Dorset, lovely. Yeah, I've got some good friends of ours lived in London for the last decade, and they're still young, but they're retiring, I guess, so to speak, to Dorset as they now have a young family. So hopefully you guys are getting some nice weather there as well. Okay, we're going to get started pretty soon here. So let's check out. Good, nice weather in Belgium as well, nice and sunny. So I'm getting pretty keen here to try to figure out how I'm going to start introducing things like the sunning eye exercise. And it's a bit of a challenge when you're holding an eye exercise class that crosses about 6 different countries. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. But still, the purpose of today is to relax the eyes. I see that there's some better lower numbers, although we still have some quite high numbers of eye strain so far. Everything is pretty much 5 and above. We've got 1, 4, which is fantastic. Did you blink, breathe, relax this week? So we have, let's see, someone did it once. So 2 people did it once. Congratulations. Even if you just do it once, it's interrupting that neural pattern and creating a new pathway. So if you're on the lower numbers of this, don't be put off by that. It's not perfect. 25% managed to do 3 times. Well done. And then 38%, which is the majority here, managed to do it 4 times. Congratulations. That's nice. You give yourself a little bit of a, and I'm not going to use the word winner, but maximum points for someone that maximum effort as we're relearning to educate our language system here. 13% managed to achieve 5 for 5 this week. Fantastic. 75% said their eyes feel about the same or not worse, but 25% said their eyes feel much better this week. So that's fantastic. That's exactly what we're looking for. Remember that obviously we are still in challenging times here. So hopefully as things start to taper off a little bit, you're going to have a little bit more time for your eye exercises, or you're going to have less time with such intensity in front of the screen, and with that kind of more sense of fight or flight response, or stress or anxiety, although this does seem to be affecting everyone a little bit differently. So bear that in mind. If you can keep with it now, even though you might see that that spike up a little bit of the eye strain there, maybe towards the end of the week. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing this class on a Friday. Is this nice way to end off the week, to de-stress the eye, so you go into the weekend feeling a little bit fresher, a little bit disconnected from the stress for the week, and if possible, maybe switching off from the global news for a couple of days, and just focus on your own health and well-being, ready to start again Monday. So let me just say, just see here that I was missed the poll. Had some clear flashes more than usual, which is great, fantastic. So what else is experiencing there? And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, the visual cat out of the bag. That actually these de-stress your eyes exercises and relaxing the eyes is actually pretty key to clearer vision. So but the problem is if you make the goal clearer, clearer vision, the mind gets involved, because 9 times out of 10, it's the mind that wants the clearer vision. The eye is always going to want to gravitate towards clearer vision, but the mind gets on top of it, and then it makes it into this cerebral activity that you're trying to achieve. So we're going in through the back door a little bit here, and we're just calling it eye relaxation, but just So you know, I'm completely ruining the secret now. That doing the exercises that we're going to be doing today really is the foundation to clearer vision, and relaxing the eyes, especially the distance looking that we're doing, depending. Pretty much all eye conditions are going to benefit from distance looking. But you're playing with the mechanism of the eye, with the camera of the eye there, so things can start to come clearer. And those of you that are starting to experience flashes of clear vision, that's where the eye is starting to relax, is starting to get back to its natural state. And what the term I use for that, and we're going to get started pretty soon here with the eye exercises, but the term I use for that is vision potential. In my mind, if you can get a flash of clear vision, that's still there, right? It shows that the mechanics of the camera is doing okay, and that the brain is ready to receive that information. It can become frustrating when we lose those clear flashes. And again, what happens is the brain or thought jumps in and says, where has this gone? Why has this happened? But the trick is to continue with the exercises, continuous effort there, of just keep moving forward. And what that does is that progressively relaxes the eyes more and more over time. And then that's what allows clearer vision to come through. So let's start with that then today. Hopefully you're sitting near a window where you can see out of a door. I'm going to pretend that I'm hanging out on John's balcony, looking out at the Mediterranean islands and hills there on a sunny afternoon. I'm not going to go any further, but maybe a nice glass of rosé or something. I don't need to go too far into details. But imagine that I'm looking out into the distance, relaxing the eyes. And first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try and identify a natural object. So for a lot of us, that tends to be a tree or a cloud, because that's something that's higher up from the houses. If you are lucky enough to be looking out at, say, an ocean or the waves, and looking at the horizon or looking at some distant waves there as much as possible. You can also be looking, maybe you're more in high rise, maybe you're in a city. You could be looking at the tops of a building or still looking out for the clouds there. Now, if you're indoors, you can still do this, but what you're looking for is ideally a natural object as far away as possible indoors, but you could also be looking at a nice picture or a painting. So we're just going to take this time to gaze out into the distance. What you're doing right now, just looking into the distance, is a very simple activity, but you're allowing the ciliary muscles to relax, and you're allowing the lens to flatten a little bit. So that's why it feels a little bit less stressful right now looking into the distance. Some of you might actually feel a little bit more strain, and that's because potentially for the first time this week, we've cued you into how your eyes are actually doing and how they're actually feeling. And now all of a sudden you might increase the numbers there of what your eye strain might be. But we're going to look to undo some of that today. So you're gently looking out in towards the distance, picking an object. Feel yourself sitting in the chair that you're sitting on, ideally your seat bones. I did a couple of virtual one-to-one sessions this week with my clients, and a big emphasis that we were talking about was feeling those seat bones underneath you. One reason why that's important is because it's a good way, going off topic here a little bit, making sure you're not going to get low back pain, because we want to be right on top of those seat bones, and that's going to allow, if you're on the seat bones, that's going to allow the rest of the skeletal system up on the vertebrae here to stack correctly. So if you're off on that lumbar area, then that's going to have an effect all the way up. And ultimately what it means is the neck has to tension. If the neck is tight, the face is tight. If the face is tight, the eyes are more likely going to have more tension there. So allowing yourself to be looking into the distance, feeling yourself sitting in the chair, not obsessing too much about getting it perfect. It's not the easiest one to get straight off the bat. But feeling yourself on a seat, you can kind of feel that the vertebrae are erect, the spine is erect. You can feel that the head is sitting on the top of the spine, almost like you've got a ball sitting on top of a stick, where you can just kind of turn that ball. So the neck is kind of relaxed as well. So now all of a sudden, we've gone from our busy, stressful week, getting all this work done, straining our eyes. Within the matter of a couple of minutes, we're grounded a little bit more in the body. We've got nice alignment. We know that if we're in alignment, that means that the circulatory system can be running a little bit better. It means that you're more likely going to be in a good place, so that when you're doing these eye relaxation exercises, that you are in a better place for them to actually take effect. Because if you're doing eye exercises under a point of strain, then it's going to be more challenging for the eyes to do that. So ideally, you've also removed any kind of eyewear if it is comfortable to do so and safe to do so. So now I'm going to ask you to tune into your blinking. So remember the methodology that we talked about last week, which was blink, breathe, relax. Again, that's blink, breathe, relax. So what I've done there is tuned you a little bit more into the body. Hopefully what that's done for those of us that are a bit more cerebral, I've brought you from the mind back into the body a little bit more kinesthetic awareness. And that allows for the parasympathetic nervous system to start to take over as you gaze out into the distance. If you're still looking at one object and that feels a little bit boring, you can either now shift within that one object. So this morning in our eye exercise class, we were talking about how you've got a tree and you could be picking clumps on that tree. So a tree has, if you remove the leaves, you've got branches. But now with leaves on the trees, you've got these different clumps of leaves there, clumps of leaves on the branches on the tree. So you can move from point to point on that one tree. If you've got a couple of trees, you can move gently from tree to tree, making sure that you're not trying to work too hard on getting clearer vision. The goal here isn't clearer vision necessarily. The goal is to relax your eyes. And we can do that by gently blinking, gently moving your eyes from point to point on a distant object. So now you're allowing for that saccadic, that natural saccadic movement to start taking place again. Because when we look at a fixed point on a screen all week, we start reducing the saccadic movements there, which is designed for natural, clearer vision. So you could either move from tree to tree, you can move from point to point within that tree. If you're lucky enough to have clouds, trees, and another object, you can gently move from place to place. But what's important right now is we move to focus on the blink component of the blink, breathe, relax, the new vision habit that I'm trying to get everyone to install here over these coming weeks. Is that now you're able to start to tune in towards that blinking as you're starting to look. So right now you're also retraining the visual system that looking in a relaxed way and blinking are going together, because we've done a fantastic job of separating the two. So right now you're allowing yourself to be sitting in your seat. Let's take a nice slow deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Again, this time tune into your blinking as you gaze out into the distance. You're welcome to stay on just one point if it feels more comfortable. You don't have to move from point to point. But just the point right now is that you're gazing into the distance, meaning there's no real effort, no real visual thought of tension. As you gaze out into the distance, feel yourself blinking now as we take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Again, continue to blink as we take a nice, slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Continue your slow blinking as we take our fingertips and you're gazing out into the distance as we gently stroke the forehead. And immediately, as soon as I do that first touch, I can feel that there's a sense of release of tension in the face. So when we do the gentle face massage, we're stroking from the forehead out towards the side, and then we've got the cheekbones in towards the cheek. Now, if you've had to look at the screen for a second to see what I'm doing, make sure that you go back and look out into the distance. And if you're watching this as a recording, ideally you're not watching me as the recording, you're following along with the exercise. So if I've caught you watching right now, just look out into the distance, even if it's the first time that you've ever done this. Just gaze out into the distance, feel yourself ground. You do some gentle blinking. We use our fingertips to bring ourselves some more kinesthetic awareness, to encourage ourselves to let go. Now that it's the end of the week, we can switch off a little bit. We can allow ourselves to observe thought a little bit more, get a little bit of distance from the thought. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and you're going to gently, very gently, you're going to stroke your eyelids. So you're stroking your eyelids. Very gentle, obviously. We're not putting any pressure on the eye itself. That would be dangerous. We're just gently stroking from the nasal side. Sorry, I've stolen your distance away from you. But I assure you it's still there. But what you're doing right now with your eyes closed, you're gently stroking your eyelids. We've removed one of your main senses that we're so used to working with. So it's allowing you to come back into the body a little bit more, come back in towards the visual system. Notice that you might feel a little bit of strain in your eyelid. Now stroke your eyelashes. So very gently, you're going from the nasal side out towards the lateral side, or the outside, sorry. Getting caught up with my anatomy terms here. I'm sure everyone's figuring it out. Gentle stroking with the eyelid. Move to, your eyelashes. Now move back to the eyelids with your eyes still closed. And I want you to visualize as if your eyelids are slowly blinking open, slowly blinking closed. Visualize as if you're still looking at the distance that you're looking at, and that you're gently opening and closing the eyelids. However, your eyes are still closed. You're gently stroking the eyelids, gently stroking the eyelashes. And now this time, I want you to continue stroking your forehead gently. So we go medial forehead, lateral, and then we go medial cheeks out towards the side. Eyes are still closed. So now you can almost transfer that light touch that you were doing on your eyelids, and you're transferring that to your forehead. Gently stroke the forehead, and this time you're going to gently flutter your eyelids open. So I'm blinking at a slightly faster rate here, not from an anxious point of view, but I'm continuing to stroke. So what that is doing right now is you look out into the distance, gaze at the object that you were looking at. Maybe right now you want to look even further in the distance or in the horizon. Let's take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. Gently blinking, gently looking in the distance, gently stroking your forehead and cheeks. We're going to stop doing this stroking if your shoulders are getting tired in a second. Relax your hands down by your side. Continue gazing in the distance. Continue gently blinking. And notice now, I can actually feel a sense of tension release all the way into my temporalis, or on the side of my forehead or my head fascia. But I'm one of those weird fascia body people. And you might, if you can't feel that, it doesn't matter. But the point is as you're gazing into the distance, you're still gently blinking. You're more finer tuned into the fact that either your eyes are strained, which isn't a negative thing. It means that you're more in tuned into that. Or now you're feeling that your face is more relaxed, and hopefully that your eyes feel more relaxed as you look into the distance. So right now, the ciliary muscles don't have to be working as hard. The facial muscles that are used to working your visual system all week now has an opportunity to relax as you gaze out into the distance. And now we're going to incorporate some of that movement again. But this time, let's do maybe some slightly more grandioso, that's my Italian there again, very limited. Some grandiose style movements. So now if you've got a larger vista, like John sitting on his Mediterranean balcony drinking his rosé, he might be able to scan a little bit more from larger objects. So he might have a full landscape that he's able to pick a tree on the far left-hand side of that landscape, and then another tree in the middle, and another tree on the far right-hand side. He might be able to scan across the top of the landscape gently with his eyes and start to make motions around that object and scan as he goes. Some of you might be able to see clouds in which, okay, it's night over there. So it's nighttime in Europe. So you might be looking out at either stars or lights out into the distance, because we're still focusing on getting those eyes relaxed there. So you can still be looking out at the distance, or maybe even the moon. You can't get much further away other than space for that one right now. But those of us that it's still daylight, or even at nighttime, you might be able to pick out a horizon there as well. So we've got two options. One is that you're scanning from left to right on the horizon as you blink, breathe, relax. Another one is that you've got one object, say like a large tree or a large house or a cloud, and you're moving gently from point to point on that image that you're looking at. But what's important now is that you're still grounded in the body, you're still blinking, you're still relaxed. Notice that I have to keep referring back to that, and that's because this is a pattern that you've really got yourself into, which is a pattern of eye strain. So we're retraining the nervous system, and we're retraining the muscular system, that you're able to see in a relaxed way. And this way, it means that when you go back to look at the computer, it's going to be harder for you to strain, because your visual system wants to be relaxed like this. It wants to look into the distance, it wants to see details, and it wants to be relaxed. It wants the nervous system to be relaxed. And as you've hardwired it to be more of a stressed, strenuous, contracted way of seeing, that's the pattern. So it's going to take a little longer for you to undo that pattern. For those of you that are doing this exercise right now, this is pretty much the best thing you can be doing to be undoing eye strain. And the American Ophthalmology Association has a suggestion, which is the 20-20-20 rule, which is every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Now, as you can see with the blink, breathe, relax that we were doing there, and don't forget to tune into your breathing now as you do that distance looking, is that some people might only be able to do just that once or twice a week. So even the 20-20-20 rule is a little bit beyond our reach right now. So what I'm trying to encourage you to do, at least once a day, just do this exercise where you reconnect in the body. You do some gentle blinking to remind yourself that that is your natural blinking rate. That also brings some fluid to the eyes, which can also improve vision, but also overcome dry eyes and red eyes. You're then allowing yourself to go from the fight or flight response into the parasympathetic as you gaze out into the distance. You're blinking. Now let's take a couple of slow, deep breaths. Let's take one in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. One last time. Slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. So now with that breathing, I felt a little bit more, and I can actually feel more oxygen come up into the eyes. I was going to say I can see more oxygen, and that's because when I do that deep, relaxed breathing, I get some kind of white halos around my eyes, and that's where the nervous system is clearing and the eye is reoxygenating. But again, a little too much for most of you right now. Keep being out, looking at the distance. But now what I'm going to ask you to do, just like what we did before, we're going to activate a little bit of the periphery to help relax the eyes, because it's competing from the central vision and the peripheral vision. So I'm going to ask you to take your hand. You will need to look at the screen for this one. And we're just going to do 5 minutes here, as I know we're running low on time, which seems to be the story of my life and everyone else's. So put your hand in front of your face, You still want to be able to have a sense of above, your hand waving above you. You want to be able to see your hand waving off towards the side. Those of you that are experiencing peripheral vision loss, it's not about necessarily seeing the hand as much as we're looking to activate some dormant cells there on the side. You're also, for the first time in a long time, you're relaxing your central vision. So wave below your hand as well. And by that, yeah, I mean the hand that's covering your face. You're waving below, so you're moving the hand around. See how far away you can move that hand in order to get it to disappear. Now, what you're not doing is you're not looking with your central vision at your hand waving. So I know that's challenging because we're so centrally focused. Our brain, our cerebral cortex, our thought is so focused on that central vision, in my opinion, that we want to chase and we want to always see. But right now we're trying to activate the other 98% or 97% of the retina, which is geared towards peripheral vision. And I'll say that again, at least 97% of the periphery of your eye is geared towards peripheral vision. And that's based on the fact that 97, 98% of the retina is made up of rod cells, which is meant for your peripheral vision. Only 2 or 3% is meant for that foveal vision or that clearer HD macular vision. But you could see how in the last couple of 100 years, we've completely switched evolution on its head, and we're focused now so much on the central vision. So let's change hands now. So your left hand is covering. You're using your right hand to wave below. And again, you're looking forward, imagining that you can still see that vista. You can still see the trees or the clouds, whether it's daytime, nighttime. So you're visualizing that you can still see that object in front of you. You're waving your hand out towards the side. We've got above vision. We've got out towards the side, the lateral side. You can see how far back that you can go with your hand, and now how far below you can go with your hand as well. But you're still looking forward. It's very tempting to want to follow your hand that's waving, but you're looking forward. We're activating the periphery. Let's take a nice slow deep breath in for 6 seconds and out for 6 seconds. And slow deep breath in for 6 seconds and out for 6 seconds. So now I'm going to ask you to put your hand vertically up on the face there. And now you're going to notice more light, more vision there. But I'm going to ask you to wave now in this, what we call kind of the paramacular, towards the outside of the periphery. This is kind of your inner periphery. What I would kind of argue is like 45 degrees in. And then move to the outer periphery as well. So you're still looking forward. Still imagine that you're looking at the detail of that image that's in front of you, but you're waving your hands to the side, and all of a sudden it feels, wow, I've got all this vision that I didn't realize that I necessarily have before. And I never forget one client that I had with glaucoma, and she was becoming more and more of a recluse because her periphery was shrinking and she was seeing less and less, and she didn't want to go outdoors anymore. And we did a double session, so it was 2 hours, and we really focused on waking up the periphery. And we went over late and we went into the evening time, and she went with her son for a walk outside at nighttime. Switch hands now. And for the first time in several years, she was able to walk at night confidently. And after that, it really improved her motivation. She was able to start getting out again, start moving again. And my argument is that I actually didn't do anything to help necessarily her periphery. It was the fact that we reminded the brain, we said, hey, there's peripheral vision here. There's vision here that you're ignoring. The brain is trying to filter a billion bits of information a second. So you're choosing what you're paying attention to and what you're not. So it's not a secret that for some of us, we tend to focus on negative things, especially right now. Some of us tend to notice on positive things. So we tend to get what we focus on. And if we're focused on the central vision all day, well, guess what? That's what we get. And you're also training the brain that the peripheral vision isn't that important. But right now, we're waking that periphery up. You're looking forward, nice and relaxed. You're blinking or breathing. Let's take a slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds. And now I'm going to ask you to, nice and easy, you're going to wave both hands, but you're going to look out at the image that you were looking at previously. Blink, 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 because what that does is the blinking interrupts the tendency to want to stare. It also interrupts your pattern or your habit to want to take over, but you're still waving your hands in the periphery whilst looking forward. Hopefully, at least 70% of you right now are feeling that your eyes feel more relaxed as you look in the distance, which you could imagine, and keep waving with your fingers. Notice I can kind of wiggle my fingers as well for some extra movement there. This might feel distracting for most of you that are used to kind of staring at the screen all day. But right now, looking at a natural object like a tree, there isn't pressure there to have to see that clearly. It's not like you're trying to focus on getting some work done. But hopefully what you're feeling is a broader sense, almost a kinesthetic awareness now of the room that's around you. And that's going to make it a little bit more challenging to be focused on that object. But we're going to attempt it right now with just a minute that we've got left here. I'm going to attempt for you to now shift from point to point on that object that you were looking at. So looking from branch to branch, look from tree to tree, window to window on the house, cloud to cloud, or if you're indoors, move from plant to plant or point to point on the tree, while simultaneously waving your hands in the periphery. And let's see if we can unify the eye for the first time this week. So we're going to do that with breathing. So I'm going to ask you to feel the seat that you're sitting on. If your arms are getting tired, make sure your shoulders are pinned down and back a little bit, and that's going to help stabilize you. Don't push the chest forward, but pull the shoulder blades down and back. That's also going to move your hands more off to the side, which is fine. So I'm going to ask you to blink, breathe, relax, and we're going to attempt right now to integrate central vision that's moving on a distant object. So we're relaxing the ciliary muscles. We're getting the saccadic movements going by looking out from point to point, and we're keeping the peripheral vision activated, which is balancing both eyes. And those of you that might have double vision, like Munir, this is a great way of unifying both eyes. The periphery, those of you that have double vision, utilizing the periphery, because a lot of people with double vision, their issue is unifying the two central vision, not the periphery. So doing peripheral vision exercises, if you have double vision, is also extremely valuable for doing this. So gently looking over the tree. So we're looking at details. So you're retraining the eyes to look at the details. We're keeping the periphery activated. We're blinking in a nice, relaxed way. And I'm going to ask you to do the breathe component now. So we're blinking. Let's breathe a nice, slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And out for 6 seconds as you exhale. Gently take another slow, deep breath in for 6 seconds. And slow, deep breath out for 6 seconds. I bet you didn't realize you would be spending so much time with that object out in the distance this afternoon. Relax your hands down by your side as we think about wrapping up this eye exercise session here today. Just take a second to look out at that distant object as you blink, breathe, relax. So notice that there might not be the same pressure that was there on you when you first started this eye exercise class. Maybe physically or mentally, you might feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more grounded in the body. for me, my mood increases and improves when I do eye exercises like this, because it takes quite a bit of visual strain away. And there is research that shows that visual strain can actually make us a little bit more stressed, anxious, depressed, because it's that constant strain, that constant tension that we have. So when we finally gaze out into the distance, we blink, breathe, relax, we move from the sympathetic into the parasympathetic, we allow a little bit more of those endorphins to kind of release a little bit, ground ourselves, switch off those high cortisol levels that we're stuck in all week. And we can just have a sense of being, a sense of well-being. Some people that have a meditation practice right now, you might feel maybe a sense of a little bit more tingling in your hands or feet, or a little bit more grounded in the body. And that just goes to show that when we can disconnect from the eye strain and get a little bit more back into the body, we can feel more relaxed. So I'm going to launch now. Notice some of you, let me see, relaunch. Okay, yeah, we just have that one. So hopefully right now, because I've lost my second poll, hopefully you're feeling more. In the chat box, can you let me know with a yes if your eyes feel more relaxed now than when you first started this class? And that really kind of helps me guide in. So just say yes. So Munir noticed that his eyes feel more relaxed. I'm really glad you got a chance to do that, Munir, because I did work your eyes quite hard this morning in a strengthening eye exercise class. Kathy there, overall, just overall, she feels more relaxed. That's fantastic. Kathy, I'm glad that you're feeling better there. And then perfect, thank you. Kevin, yes, more relaxed. Good, Kevin. Els, yes, he's feeling more relaxed there as well. And just make sure you're not necessarily going to achieve this point of relaxation with over 1,000 hours of training and over a decade of experience in this work. Obviously, I'm going to be able to take you a little bit quicker to that point of relaxation. I'll catch up with the other yeses there in a second. And this is kind of more of an extreme interruption there of the strain pattern. Hi Hannah, lovely to see you. I'm glad your eyes that you feel better and your eyes are as well. We really can't disconnect the body and the mind there, despite what some dinosaurs might still be saying. But what you can do is use this as an opportunity to remember what relaxed vision can feel like. And the more you interrupt it, kind of like going to get a massage and releasing body tension, the more you're going to remember that when you come back to do your blink, breathe, relax. So we're going to open up now to a Q&A. Those of you that needs to go, thank you very much for taking the time to be here today. Remember our goal for next week, to do the 5 blink, breathe, relax. And that really doesn't need to be the same detail that we went through today, but just looking away from the screen out into the distance, gently blink, gently breathe in for 6 seconds, out for 6 seconds, and then just feel yourself back in the body and relax a little bit, and then go back to your computer and then continue working. It's fine. You don't have to take this detailed time to do it. You can, if you wish, still do a longer. Ideally, you would do this for a minimum of 5 minutes, but we're trying to get a new habit in place. So let's open up now for the Q&A. Are you able to raise a hand your end? All of you. You don't need to all raise your hand. Okay, good. So then those that have their hands raised, I'm going to, one of you, I'm going to, if someone has a verbal question that they want to ask, then I'm going to unmute you, hopefully. And then you'll be able to ask me a question. So Hannah, I think, oh, hold on. Unmute. Doesn't do anything. Okay. So Hannah, I should be able to hear you now, I think. Can you try saying something?
Hi, Will. Greetings from our cottage in the
Now what I'm
mountain.
going to do. Oh, I can. Sorry, yeah, I can hear you, but for some reason. Okay, 1 second. Let's think about this. Can you speak again, Hannah?
Hi, Will. Nice greetings from our cottage in the mountains.
Fantastic. You're up in the mountains. So have you been, when you're doing these eye exercises, you're able to get a good distance viewing there?
Unfortunately not. It's dark already, 9 o'clock p.m.
Okay. Do you, when looking out the window and it's dark, are you still able to maybe see some clouds or some stars or the moon? Is there still things you can see when you're looking in the distance?
Unfortunately not. The cottage has very small windows from all the
Okay.
time.
Okay. Small window. So for you then, if that's the situation, and I know at least a third of the class here that it's night time for you, that when we're doing this exercises, you can still choose an object that's far in the distance. When I was doing
Yes.
that exercise, what object were you looking at?
Yeah. It's quite a big room here. It's a one big room, and there are painted painted plates on the wall. Yeah.
Good. Right. Okay, good. So yeah, so kind of like the painting that's behind me. I don't mean that the art is the same, but that it's an image that you're able to gently move your eyes over and look over when you do that. Is that
Yeah.
how you do it?
Yes, there are 5 of them, so I can switch from one to another.
Fantastic. Yeah. So, and then with what I'm saying there about looking out at the trees, etc., maybe that's something that you can use the painting to practice with. And then maybe tomorrow morning, I know Kevin does his exercises when he's sipping on a cup of coffee in the morning or a tea. That you might be able to then go outside and repeat a little bit. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but you could repeat what you were doing with the picture with outside. Would that be possible?
Yes, for me, yes.
Good. Yeah, fantastic. So, so even though in general I talk about looking out into the distance, because that's the ideal scenario to be doing the eye exercises out there. So you're over there in Prague, same as John is out there in Greece. Ours is in Belgium. So you guys are on the European side of things. So hopefully, also because tomorrow morning's Saturday morning, that you have a little bit of time if you had to do the exercise indoors, still take the principle and take it outdoors. So did you have a specific question at all, Hannah, or you wanted to just pop in and say hi?
Yeah, I would like to ask. In last time, I have watering eyes, and I have had some problem 3-4 years ago after an injury. I have had very dry eyes, and now it looks like opposite. There is quite
Right.
watering,
Yeah, and
especially in the wind. And I know this is with the oily layer, but I wonder whether it does mean improvement, that I have a lot of water, or whether it's another problem.
did the watering eyes come on as a result of, did it come on while you were doing the exercises or after you did some of the eye exercises?
No, it's in the opposite. Why I'm interested now in the exercises, because I would like to find solution. for this problem. Yeah.
Okay,
So
for the watering.
it's about
Yeah,
several
so
weeks.
typically, and the reason why I asked it that way is a lot of the time if someone is used to experiencing dry eyes and that's a result of the itchiness of the eyes or the dryness of the eyes, or that tear film keeps separating and drying up. So when they do some of these eye exercises and they finally start to relax the eyes, then they can start getting that watering as the eyes are relaxing. But it gets a little bit more complicated if it's something like an impact injury or an injury that's created a visual strain. Also, there was an article recently why your eyes overwatering as a result of eye strain, so being too strenuous with the eyes. It depends a little bit.
Oh, sorry,
Have
there
you
is some
increased
problem with the
watering?
sound.
What,
I
an
cannot.
ophthalmologist? So, sorry, Hannah. Try that again.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you for several
No.
sentences now. You can hear me?
Okay, sorry. Yeah. What did the ophthalmologist say?
First it was typical problem of dry eyes for several years. Then it was better, and now it's worse, but it looks differently. It looks like I have watering eyes.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more complicated than, say, some people that might experience watering eyes from say eye strain. So did the ophthalmologist say it was a result of the accident?
Formerly, yes, the dry eyes, it was following immediately, but now it was much better, and now I have another problem, or I'm not sure, maybe it's the same problem. I think the problem with me is the oily, I do not, this meibomian glands. Yeah, that it's not the oily layer is not very of good quality. So I think the massage of the lids and such things can be very useful.
Good. And have you consulted a nutritionist at all about making sure that you've got the right, making sure that you've got an optimum amount of omega-3s in the and 6 in the body?
I have good intake, but I am losing weight also. So it's another problem. So maybe I should speak with some nutrition therapist, because I am eating quite a lot and I have lost also weight.
Yeah. So it's always best um, to be keeping up to date with the best physicians and the latest science and research. So we always want to be on top of that game. One thing we don't want to be doing is straining our eyes, researching all this stuff. In general, we kind of say if there's been any kind of change with the condition, if it's not necessarily better or worse, can be a good sign that the things that you're doing is helping the eye. So step number one is to make sure that you're always connected with a qualified healthcare professional. And then from a natural vision standpoint, I would say that your focus is returning the eyes to the best natural state possible, the best natural relaxed state possible. And there's a chance that it the eye is going to have to go through a process of unwinding, relaxing, recovering, especially as what you're noticing there is what the body is trying to do, or what the body wants, is that fat layer in order to keep the fluid, something that we all take for granted until we're missing it. So in my mind, as long as let's at least be trying to use the eyes in a healthy, natural way. We're using qualified healthcare professionals to make sure we keep on top of it. We've got the latest research, the latest information. We know that we're keeping it safe. And then we know certainly that there's some things that could be bad for the eyes. So obviously straining the eyes, overworking them, stress, tension, and all those things are going to have a negative effect. So I would say your focus is to have a good, steady relaxation program at this point. But that doesn't help, because I know how frustrating it is if your eyes are watering and you're trying to relax and look into the distance, that can be distracting. Do you notice? Let's set a goal, or I'll ask the question, and then maybe you can get back to me next week.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done, say, 30 minutes like what we've done here today? You blink, breathe, relax. You do the face massage. You look out into the distance. Do you notice a change in the fluid levels? Does it increase, decrease, stay the same?
Mm. I feel good relaxation, but this watering I have mostly outside when there is a little bit windy, or the temperature changes. That are the triggers.
Okay.
Yes. When I am now sitting in the room and here is stable temperature, so I cannot see the result in this, but I will see it tomorrow, maybe outside.
Yeah, and you're up against it there, and that's not the first time, I've heard that, because the wind, change in temperature, that's gonna trigger and initiate the eye to respond differently. So that's kind of an external influence. So I think it's important that you at least set yourself the goal of visual relaxation, because it's also stressful when we're trying to get an answer to some of these questions. And my argument that right now your best thing is which you're already doing, which is to have a good basic program down, and that your focus is on your basic healthy program, and then you can continue to do your research and what you're doing in the world of medical science. And yeah, it's a little bit more challenging if mechanically we've got some things to work with there, and then like what you're noticing if it's windy. So I think being okay, knowing that these external factors are going to have this effect, but you can always try and come back to this baseline of relaxed, healthy vision, and then put your sights to understanding a little bit more the condition, but trying not to put a time limit on when that answer is gonna come through. Did that help at all?
Yeah, thank you. I agree. Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, but it's getting an understanding of what's going on, which I appreciate is more of a challenge. And I think bearing with it and looking for any changes can be good for you as well, to get an understanding of if some of the things that you're doing is helping or not helping. Also making sure that you're doing body exercises as well to get good circulation to the eyes. There's still some recovery that needs to go on there as well. So I think focusing on management, healthy management, lower stress levels, and then always keeping an open mind for any solutions that might present themselves.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Hannah. And just keep coming to the classes and just keep up with the work. I know it's frustrating and challenging, but just keep you're already moving in the right direction. So just try keeping it that way.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Hannah. So anyone else there, you're welcome to raise your hand if you have a particular question. I do see that there is a small question, I think, or an observation in the chat box. So let's just see. Okay. All right, good. All right, so thank you all very much for taking the time to be here today. Good luck with your 5 for 5 this week. With your 5 blink, breathe, relaxes. You are creating a new vision habit. So stick with us over the next coming weeks, and you'll see how when you started and your eye strain was much in the higher. When I first started this class, people were in the 7, 8s, and 9s, and now people more in the 4 or 5. So that was really a key goal for me with these classes, to really start to help people during these challenging times for that to happen. This is going to come out. I'll post this video on the Envision Self-Healing YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed already, head over there and subscribe, and then you'll get the latest release of this every week. I'm going to send out last week's class either tomorrow or Sunday, so you can keep up to date on that. And you can also connect through the Envision Self-Healing Facebook page, or you can check me out at William Fuller VBM Facebook page there, as well as Twitter. Feel free on the videos there to write any comments below or any questions. Good luck with your eye exercises this week. If you found it helpful, please feel free to share it with a friend. If there's one of us here with a certain eye condition that we're challenging with, you could have times that by 1,000 out there, that people kind of think that there isn't anything that they can do. And not that we're looking at a wonder cure here, but at least it's something that we can be doing to help move us in the right direction, help reduce stress levels, move us from the fight or flight response to the parasympathetic, start relaxing the eyes, and start getting some clearer vision. I hope you all have a lovely weekend and a fantastic week. Wishing you peace, love, and happiness. Have a good week.